What's up guys, it's me Jeremy. When I play on the Hearthstone ranked ladder, I typically tend to not really enjoy net decking very much. It's just not that fun for me, but at the same time, making your own deck can be tough. Both innovating and net decking have their own advantages and disadvantages, and while most people would prefer to net deck, and for valid reasons, I think innovating and making your own creation has a lot of advantages too. And either way, there's most certainly nothing wrong with either one. These are just my thoughts on it. Let's get started. Now, netdecking, or looking up decks online to copy and use for yourself, is by far the most popular way to play constructed Hearthstone, and with this option you bring a reasonable amount of pros and cons to your game. The first advantage is that you are working with a really refined deck. Everything is tested and set in stone really, so you know the deck can and most likely will work if played correctly, and certainly has the power to get wins. It's easy to research and learn about the deck, and as long as you put the time into it, you shouldn't really have a problem. It's also easier to work with a card pool when net decking. You know which cards you are going to need, and you can calculate exactly how much dust you need to build a deck, rather than having to test out a lot of cards to see what works and what doesn't. And if you're playing on a budget, it can be hard to be competitive without net decking at least a tiny bit, simply because each point of dust you get will be so valuable to you. And the last advantage really is that netdecking is easy. It's honestly just really easy, plain and simple, and it's the main reason why most people do it. It's easy to look up decks on a website like Tempo Storm and then just copy and paste them, and that's okay. Some people have more fun from winning and they want their ladder experience to be easier, and that's totally okay. More power to you. Do what you enjoy. Now, netdecking also tends to have some disadvantages. The first and main disadvantage is that you become extremely predictable when you net deck. When I play on the ladder against a net deck, I can identify what deck I'm playing against half the time before I even mulligan, and if not, at least a few turns in for sure, and from then I immediately know about 95% or more of the cards in their deck. I know what cards they have to finish me off, how much damage they can deal, what the secrets are, and I could probably write out their entire deck list with reasonable accuracy, and this makes the deck extremely easy to play against, and my chances of misplaying versus an opponent like this becomes a lot smaller. And the second disadvantage is that netdecking tends to enforce somewhat of a rigid mindset. A lot of the time, the deck list that you might find online might not be the best build, or could do better if you switched up a couple cards. The meta changes a lot in Hearthstone, and you want to be able to change your decks with it, especially the situational kind of cards that really adapt to the meta effectively, and when you net deck, you can have a tough time with this and begin to doubt your own deck choices, as well as potentially having a hard time mastering the deck too, since the core concepts might be a little bit difficult for you to pick up, rather than if you created a deck by yourself. Now, innovating, or making your own deck from a lot of experimentation and testing, is something that a lot of players don't really try out in favor of net decking. Now, in terms of getting raw wins and climbing the ladder, net decking is pretty much always faster and easier, but I think innovating is definitely underrated and comes with a lot of advantages, as well as disadvantages too. The first advantage of innovating is that learning how to build decks is an extremely important skill and will most certainly make you a better player. Learning what makes a deck work and how a deck gets balanced around its cards is an important skill and will help you understand, and thus play, decks a lot better. In addition, when you play your own creation, you become extremely unpredictable. Your opponent will be playing something that they haven't really faced before, expecting to play against a net deck. They won't really know what to expect, and their chances of misplaying because of it becomes a lot higher, and so this gives you an inherent advantage simply because you aren't playing a cookie-cutter net deck. And lastly, and this point probably isn't as big for most people, but at least for me, I think innovating is just really fun. It's cool to see your creation turn from something that's kinda bad to reasonably good, and it's not as hard to create a competitive deck as you might think, and seeing something you made from scratch become good is really awesome, and it's one of my favorite things in Hearthstone. Now, innovating also has some disadvantages, and the first being that it's quite challenging. It takes time, skill, and effort just to make a deck that is good enough as the ones that you could net deck in about 5 minutes. And if you're lacking any of those three things, innovating can be nearly impossible for you. You will most certainly lose more games at the start than if you net decked, and it can be hard to get good ideas to build something strong. And in addition, innovating can be expensive. You need to have a large card pool to work with so you can test things out and see what works and what doesn't, and that can be difficult if you're playing on a budget. Overall, they both have their advantages and disadvantages, but I think the best thing to do is probably a mix of both. Look up decks online, do some research, and then tweak and tune and refine the deck with your own choices and unique options and get a better knowledge of decks and how they work. You can net deck and innovate at the same time. You never have to copy a deck list card for card. Either way, my best recommendation is to do what you enjoy the most, as both options can definitely be successful and lead to some great games. Anyways, my name is Jeremy, and that's for my video on innovating versus netdecking. Hey guys, it's me, Jeremy. Thanks for watching my video. If you enjoyed it, definitely make sure to hit that like button so I can tell, as well as you can check me out on Facebook and Twitter at Gaming Curios. And check me out on Twitch too, I do weekly streams. And if you really enjoyed the video, make sure to subscribe, as well as you can check out some of my other content up above. Anyways, that's going to be it. Thank you so much for watching, and of course, I'll see you guys next time.